Procrastination is often misunderstood as simple laziness or a lack of willpower. But the truth is far more complex. For many, procrastination is not a failure of discipline, but a response deeply rooted in psychology. One of the most common yet overlooked reasons for procrastination is the freeze response, a survival mechanism that stems from our innate fight, flight, or freeze reaction to stress. In this video, we'll explore the psychology of procrastination, particularly through the lens of the freeze response, and I'll explain what that means in detail. I'll also discuss actionable strategies to transform procrastination into productivity. I'm Jo Banks. I've been a professional executive business coach for 16 years, and I'm sharing what I know. So let's dive in. Understanding the psychology of procrastination. Procrastination is often seen as irrational. Why would we delay doing something that we know is beneficial? The answer lies in how our brain perceives tasks and threats. The freeze response and procrastination. The freeze response is a lesser discussed aspect of the fight or flight stress reaction. The fight, flight, freeze stress response is the body's natural reaction to threats. When faced with danger, the body activates the sympathetic nervous system, preparing to either confront the threat, fight, escape from it, flight, or remain still and avoid detection, freeze. While the fight, flight, freeze stress response was initially designed to keep our early ancestors safe from physical threats, such as marauding tribes or predators, think saber-toothed tiger, jackals, wolves and bears, it now operates in precisely the same way to perceived threats. For example, worrying, panicking, overthinking. These are perceived threats that the nervous system sees in exactly the same way as it would if you were being faced by a saber-toothed tiger. These responses are rooted in survival instincts designed to help us quickly react in stressful situations. While effective in immediate physical danger, prolonged activation of this response when we overthink or worry about the future can lead to stress-related health issues. When faced with overwhelming tasks, uncertainty, or high expectations, our brain may perceive these challenges as threats. Rather than gearing up to fight and take action or flee to avoid the situation, instead, we freeze. This response can manifest as overthinking, getting stuck in analysis paralysis, avoidance, distracting ourselves with other tasks. For example, scrolling on social media, Netflix binging, overeating or overdrinking. We also have perfectionism, delaying tasks until the conditions feel just right. We could also have fear of failure, feeling immobilized by the possibility of not meeting expectations. This freeze response explains why we can feel mentally paralyzed when facing difficult or unfamiliar work. However, the good news is that understanding this mechanism allows us to develop targeted strategies to overcome it. Productivity hacks to break free from procrastination. Now that we recognize that procrastination is a stress response, we can implement hacks to bypass the freeze mechanism and regain control over our productivity. Number 1, the 5-second rule. Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins' 5-second rule is one of the most effective techniques I've come across to counteract procrastination. The concept is simple. The moment you feel the urge to procrastinate, count back out loud 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then immediately take action. This interrupts the brain's tendency to overthink and freeze. It shifts control from the emotional limbic system, which drives fear and avoidance, into the prefrontal cortex, which enables decision-making and action. This method works because it activates the brain ability to shift gears before it defaults into the autopilot mode. Whether it's making a phone call, starting a report, or going to the gym, counting down forces movement before the hesitation takes over. Mel Robbins has done so much research into this, and we know this is a brilliant way to kind of trick the brain into action. I highly recommend her book, The 5-Second Rule. Number 2, the 2-minute rule. Developed by productivity expert David Allen, the 2-minute rule states that if a task takes less than 2 minutes to do it immediately. If it takes longer, break it down into 2-minute starter tasks. For example, instead of saying, I need to write a report, reframe it into, I'll write the first 2 sentences. This is very similar to the 5-second rule. It tricks the brain into starting rather than freezing because the task feels overwhelming. Number 3, reduce task size with the Pomodoro Technique. Breaking tasks into smaller time blocks can significantly reduce the freeze response. The Pomodoro Technique involves, number 1, setting a timer for 25 minutes. Number 2, working at full focus during that time. Then number 3, taking a 5-minute break before starting another Pomodoro session. This method reduces mental resistance by making tasks feel more manageable. The sense of urgency also prevents the brain from slipping into avoidance mode. Number 4, implement temptation bundling. Developed by behavioral scientist Katie Miltman, temptation bundling combines an enjoyable activity with a productive one. Examples include listening to an audiobook while cleaning, watching a show only while exercising, enjoying a favourite healthy snack while reading work emails. This approach rewires the brain to associate positive emotions with otherwise dreaded tasks. Number 5, change your environment. If your workspace triggers procrastination, altering it can disrupt the freeze response. Try working in a different room or a cafe. Declutter your desk and remove distractions. Use background music or white noise to increase your focus. A fresh environment provides a mental reset, making it easier to engage in work. Number 6, use implementation intentions. Setting clear if-then plans reduces the mental load of decision making. For example, if I finish my morning coffee, then I'll start writing my report. If I check my emails, then I'll immediately respond to urgent ones. This pre-decided structure eliminates hesitation and makes taking action more automatic. This also works because we're programmed in childhood to be reward-based creatures. Think about all the times your parents said, or your guardian said, eat your dinner, you can have dessert. Tidy your room, you can go and play. Finish your homework, you can have a treat. We can leverage this deep-rooted reward system as adults to really good effect. Number 7, reward progress, not just completion. Many procrastinators struggle with starting tasks because they focus only on the final goal. Instead, celebrate progress, checking off the small wins, especially tick lists, using a habit tracker, rewarding yourself with a break after a milestone. This reinforces positive behavior and counteracts the brain's avoidance tendency. We also release a small amount of dopamine every time we reward ourselves, even for small things. So it really helps to spur us on. Number 8, ask, what's the pain? We've already discussed that when we procrastinate, it's because our subconscious mind has sensed a threat and is trying to keep us safe. Asking yourself the simple question, what's the pain I'm trying to avoid here, can often be all you need to get yourself out of the learned helplessness of the freeze procrastination state. When you start asking yourself that question regularly, you'll often be quite surprised by the response that you give yourself. The wrap-up. Procrastination is not a personal failure. It's often a biological response rooted in the freeze mechanism of our stress reaction. Understanding this allows us to apply targeted productivity hacks to overcome mental paralysis. By using techniques like the 5-second rule, the 2-minute rule, the Pomodoro Technique, you can start to disrupt procrastination patterns and take back control. Pairing these strategies with environmental changes, temptation bundling, and incremental rewards ensures longer term success. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, recognize it as the freeze response and apply one of these hacks to shift from hesitation and into action. Small, consistent steps lead to big productivity breakthroughs. For more information on functional freeze, a state where you feel stuck or paralyzed, inexplicably exhausted, and unable to respond appropriately to most given situations, I'll leave a link below for that. It's one of my most popular videos, so take a quick look at that. What next? If you have anything you'd like to add to today's video, or you have any topics you'd like me to cover in future, please leave it in the comments section below. I read and respond to everything and really love interacting with you all. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel with a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. Finally, thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your support. It really does mean the world to me.